guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. Today, we're going to review these top 3 hog decks inside the meta right now in Clash Royale. This is the second deck here, is actually the old Executioner deck, subbed in Musketeer for Executioner. We subbed in Ice Golem for Knight, and then we have the Ice Spirit as well, so we don't need Zap. We can go ahead and use Log in this deck, which actually kind of suits it better. And this is the old Executioner version. We won't be showing this deck today, but I will share a video description, a link in the description, excuse me, where we did review that deck. This will be the third and final deck today, 2.6 Classic Hog Cycle, the best free-to-play option out there in the game, in the opinion of yours truly. So, first up, we have RomK. By the way, this video will feature 3 players known for their fantastic hog play. We have RomK, we have Wen, and we have Miniminter. Now, all 3 of these guys are fantastic, starting with RomK here. RomK is going to be playing in top 300 ladder. We have Wen playing in top 50 ladder on the global leaderboard, and then we have Miniminter on his free-to-play account, playing just early in Legendary Arena. That ought to suit a lot of you guys as well. So let's go ahead and start out with this gameplay here. Now, the first thing you're going to want to notice is this exchange right up here. We have the Hunter in the right, we have the Giant and the Mega Minion in the left. We're going to play an Ice Golem right in the left lane at the river. We're going to go ahead and circumvent one of those Hunter hits from hitting that right tower, and then we're going to distract the Mega Minion so we can activate the King Tower. You guys are in store for a lot of great gameplay like this. Teaches you little micro interactions that you can apply to your own game. Things to think about, different ways to use cards in these decks that maybe these pros can shed a little light on for you. That's the goal here in this video and every video. It's just, you know, even if you learn one little thing from my videos, you take that away, you carry it into your gameplay, and there, you're a better player immediately. And then, of course, the more you practice with the deck, the better you'll become. And in my opinion, the best way to get better at this game is to simply watch pros, watch experts with a certain deck, play the deck, look at the decisions they make, and compare it and kind of square it to the decisions that you would normally make. So here we go. Hog Rider in the right lane. He doesn't get 2 shots off, only 1 swing, excuse me, off against that Hunter. Hunter, lethal counter to the Hog Rider there, but I do think the Hunter will get a buff next week. It looks like we'll be getting balance changes next week, guys. So the Hunter is redirected onto that Ice Golem. Meanwhile, good defense here in the left lane. That guard's going to stymie that Mega Minion. However, we do take some serious damage onto that right tower. So here we go. Comes in the Hog Rider. Now the Hog's going to run into that Prince. Prince going to really prevent that Hog from getting any more than 1 hit on that left tower. Now we have to deal with the Prince in the left lane and deal with the Giant in the right lane. So we're going to focus primarily on the Giant here, with that right tower having more damage off of it, but we've used the Musketeer pretty well there to stop the, the Ice Golem and the Musketeer to stop the Prince. He does get 1 stab in on that that left tower, but we're more concerned again on the right tower at this point here. So guards, you know, guards are really strong right now, guys. Guards are better than Goblin Gang in most hog decks, I would say, and they're just really, really solid. They can do well against Royal Ghost, of course. They can do well in so many situations. You're going to see that throughout these replays here because a few of these decks do have guards in them. So that Hog actually sent in with, you know, 2 seconds, 5 seconds left in the match really made the difference here. So we have not a lot of damage, or excuse me, we have a lot of damage on both of our towers, off both of our towers, but all we need is 1 tower down, and RomK finishes off the job there. You saw what he did at the end there, guys, right? By the way, huge shout out to Feudal Cam. He's my YouTube sponsor of the day. But you saw what he did there at the end, right? He knew there was a big monster push coming in the right. He knew he had Tornado to buy him a little bit of extra time, and the match was already entering into overtime. So he decided to go with the Hog in the left lane, knowing that he had to do it or he'd lose the match, and he came away victorious. Now let's go against this really annoying Mortar Skeleton Barrel Miner deck. This is a super annoying deck, and I hate going against it, so let's watch how RomK handles this type of a matchup. Now, against a Mortar deck, when you're playing with a Hog Rider, oftentimes you're going to be relying on spell damage whenever possible. So using your Fireball, not being afraid to use your Fireball in this matchup is key. This deck, along with really all the decks that we're going to be covering today, cycle really quickly. You can definitely keep up with a Mortar deck, for example. And you saw what happened on the right there. You might want to rewind and check that out. There's a really nice use of guards to anticipate that Miner coming in on the right, and then the Tornado to buy some time against that Goblin Gang. This deck is annoying. So there's so much bait in it, right? It has the bats, has the minion horde, has the goblin gang, has the goblins or the spirit goblins. It just has a lot of stuff throwing at you here. But we're going to use the tornado, and we're going to be ready every time they throw something at us here. So here it comes. It's going to be a fireball. We talked about that. Now we do get one hit off with the musketeer, and we use the fireball there. Even though it didn't allow the hog to get a hit on that tower, basically we're going to have to take the damage where we can get it. Right now we're in a damage lead, but only a very slight one. So here comes the miner on the left. We're going to use a log to stop those goblins from reaching the tower, and look at that, just really in quick succession there, guys. We activated the King Tower with the Tornado on the Miner. We used the Ice Golem in the right. We used the Log on the left, really avoiding pretty much any damage. A little bit of chip damage on the right tower, but we activated our King Tower, and we'll take that every day, all day here. So Musketeer doing some work against that Skeleton Barrel. Nice thing about Musketeer is she costs one less than the Executioner, and with this deck, it's not like you necessarily always need Executioner with the Tornado. Sometimes Tornado and Ice Golem alone can kill most swarm units. Add in the Ice Spirit and you're good to go. So for one less elixir, you have the Musketeer, who does way more point damage to tanks and stuff like that, which are really prevalent in the game right now. So that's why RomK prefers Musketeer in this deck. However, he did tell me that he does enjoy the classic Executioner version as well. So here it comes. In the right lane, we have some minions. We have the Skeleton Barrel. He also sends in bats, again attacking both lanes here. But hey, RomK does a good job in not panicking. He waits until that Skeleton Barrel dies, and then he plays the guards there to try to, you know, stymie some of those skeletons and allow the Musketeer a little bit more time to do her thing. Meanwhile, thanks to all of those fireballs, guys, we have that right tower down to 980 damage. Here comes the Ice Spirit and the Musketeer again. And again, we're not going to overcommit on defense here, guys, because we know our opponent at KBR 13. He's actually a really good player. I've seen him before, and he's a 20-win player. He's been top 50 global many times, so definitely knows what he's doing. But we're chipping away and chipping away and chipping away here with this matchup on that right tower. Primarily just fireballs. A lot of hogs play and then a lot of fireballs, and we can do a very good job on defense, just not overcommitting. That's one thing that you guys should avoid no matter what deck you're playing, is don't overcommit on defense. We talk about overcommitting on offense. It's really important to point out that only play a defensive card. What is this challenge thing? Only play a defensive card when you need to. So wait for your opponent. It's like a chess match. You're not going to play all your plays at one time. You're going to play one play at a time. Sometimes two plays if you need it. But only play defensive cards if you need to. Don't rush into things and drop everything and then allow your opponent to drop that Prince in the opposite lane, to drop that Minor Bats in the opposite lane and punish you because you used too much elixir defending in the other lane. And on the opposite side of the equation, if you notice your opponent overcommitting on defense, don't be afraid to punish them in the opposite lane, even if that's not the tower that you're normally trying to go for and take down. So now we are into the Bo Sabah matches with this dirty Royal Giant deck. Now you guys probably know that the pusher for Bo Sabah, at least this season, is Wen. He might be the best hog player in the game right now. I don't know. I don't want to give the title out because far be it from me to say who exactly is the best, but whenever I ask on Twitter or other pros, I can tell you that, I mean, all three of these pros, really, their names always come up, especially when he's just an absolute beast, always dominating top 10, top 20 ladder with hog decks. So you can see he actually takes that right tower really early into this match, only 1 minute in, and that was expert defense on Wen's part. You guys might want to go ahead and rewind if you're just looking at me blab to you guys in the top right hand corner of your device or your screen, because that last sequence was really crazy. Wen went all in with a hog and guards in the right lane, even though he had, I think it was an Inferno Dragon or a Royal Ghost, a Baby Dragon, and a Mega Knight all coming at him in the left lane. He was still able to keep that left tower alive and take the opponent's right tower when he noticed that the opponent overcommitted on offense there. So very, very good decision there on Wen's part, and those are the type of decisions that separates him as a player. So he drops the guards there. He almost allows his Inferno Dragon to take out the opponent's Inferno Dragon. So that was a small misplay there. He says, oops, but he does get a few hits off with that hog on that left tower. However, the opponent looks to probably going to be able to get this tower, and he does, the left tower down. So Royal Ghost actually slides right on past the other Royal Ghost here, and Wen is now going to start throwing preemptive fireballs, knowing he can quickly outcycle the opponent's deck, and he has all the cards in this deck that he needs to mount a successful defense against really whatever his opponent's going to throw at him here. So here he goes, a guard surrounding the Mega Knight. We talked about guards against Royal Ghost, guards against Mega Knight. Guards are really good as long as you place them correctly. This deck is super strong. Now, we haven't really talked much about the deck itself here, guys, so let's take a moment and look at it. So we have guards, of course, we have Ice Golem, we have minions. We have Inferno Dragon that can kill your opponent's tank, or it can simply cycle behind your King Tower when you don't know what else to play in the lane usually that your opponent is going for. If you're going against Three Musketeers, always first drop your Inferno Dragon in the lane that the solo Musketeer is in. So here we go, it's going to be another fireball and a zap, and that's going to finish things off here for Wen. Wen just doing a really good job there in what could have been a really devastating matchup for him. So let's go ahead and hop into another replay by Wen here. Against this guy, another 20-win beast. This guy finished 63rd in his best season. Let's see how this one goes down. I think Kua H, I guess we'll call him. I think he's playing... What is his win condition? Is it minor? Is it... We'll wait and see. I watched these replays before, but I kind of lost track of them. I apologize, guys. So let's see how Wen starts off this match here. He's going to cycle minions behind his King Tower. So just to finish talking about the deck, it's a Three Musketeer deck that we're going against here, and we match up really well against Three Musketeer. And actually, this will give us an opportunity to see how Wen handles a split Musketeer with this deck. So we have the Royal Ghost in this deck as well. Royal Ghost is definitely going to be getting a nerf in, just a few days, a matter of days here. Clash Royale already came out and said that they feel like Royal Ghost is too strong right now in the game, and he will definitely be getting a nerf. Now, if he does get a huge nerf, I would still say this deck is super solid, even with Royal Ghost in it. If the nerf goes too far, if it's like nerfed into Oblivion, then you can just simply sub in Knight if you want to, or you can make it a little bit faster and sub in a cycle card like Ice Spirits, like we saw in the first deck that we shared. So here we go. Again, kind of a juke Ice Golem there in the right, and then we followed up with a Royal Ghost. Ice Golem actually gets a decent amount of damage. The opponent pumped up, so we're going to go ahead and send in the Hog Rider, and then we send in the Fireball as well. The Fireball will completely negate a pump, so you should always Fireball a pump, even if you're playing against a Three Musketeer deck in most situations. Obviously, every game is a little bit different, but, just keep that in your mind now, that with the pump nerf, and that was a bad log there from the opponent. He didn't need to use that log, really. He could have taken a little bit of chip damage anyway, but he missed it. He missed it nonetheless. So here comes, so his opponent decides not to Three Musketeer here. His opponent is a better player than I am. Let me state that right off the bat. But I probably would have Musketeered there, knowing that Wen didn't have Fireball in the cycle. But hey, he's better, like I said, he's a better player than I am, so he opts to pump instead. And now, here we go. All out again with the Hog and the minions. Fire Spirits, don't say that too often. Fire Spirits take out the minions, and we get a little bit more damage on the left lane, and the opponent gives free Fireball value. He's basically asking him to use the Fireball there, giving him the free Fireball. Wen says thanks, and then the opponent drops 3 Musketeers. So here comes the first this is the first 3 Musketeer push of this matchup. And just like I said, the first thing you're going to want to do is drop your Ice Golem, your Inferno Dragon in the right lane. You're going to be relying on guards and, of course, a Royal Ghost to clean up the 2 Musketeers in the other lane. Oftentimes, when 3 Musketeer players split their cards, or split their Musketeers, excuse me, they're going to be going all out on the 1 Musketeer lane, especially if they know you have Fireball. And speaking of Fireball, that Fireball Hog push in the left lane finishes off that left tower. Really good job, really good match there by Wen. Just fantastic gameplay from these first 2 pros. I hope you guys are enjoying this episode so far as much as I am. So, hopping into replay number 3, guys. By the way, if you can't tell, oh man, I'm sick again, guys. What the heck? I was just sick like a month ago. I'm already kind of like losing my voice here. Anyway, hopping into what could be my favorite deck of all time. It's a classic in every sense of the phrase of the word, right? So it's Miniminter's 2.6, well, it's not like he invented the deck, but it's Miniminter playing the 2.6 Hog Cycle deck. So the opponent opts to use a Fireball, so we're going to distract with an Ice Golem. Now notice that we're a little bit lower in trophies here, but Miniminter's still playing solid players who are higher than him either in trophies or, excuse me, certainly in card levels. So we opt to get the Fireball value there on that right tower, and the opponent's going to come with a Mortar. Now, every time the opponent drops a Mortar, of course, Mortar is so frustrating right now, and it seems to be everywhere, you know, from 3,600, 3,800 trophies and above, all the way into global top 100. Mortar seems to be very, very prevalent right now, so it's important to pick up the little techniques that Miniminter uses in order to beat a Mortar deck in this matchup. So here we go. We're allowing that Hog to basically push the Ice Golem and the Knight and the Ice Wizard all together, getting pretty good Fireball value, obviously hitting the tower, the Knight, and the Ice Wizard. And we're going to be using the Cannon against the Mortar mainly here. Of course, the Log to support the Cannon. Didn't really work out there because the opponent had the Knight blocking the Cannon from hitting the Mortar. So the Mortar is actually going to get a few hits here, and then the opponent Jocko actually has a nice Log there. So in a second, he's going to start BMing our boy Miniminter. And he thinks he has it. There it is, the thanks. So he thinks he has it locked up here. And I can tell you that Mini's going to be relentless on the returning the favor at the end of the match. So here comes the Hog Rider. He does not get a hit, but it's actually, this match is a good illustration of what can happen when 2 cycle decks go head to head. And Mini realizes before his opponent, before Jocko, this is going to be a game all about Fireball. Who's going to get more Fireballs on their opponent's tower? Because at this point, the Mortar's really not connecting anymore, and the Hog's really not connecting anymore for Mini. So here it goes. It is now everything against that Mortar. We want to keep that Musketeer alive, of course, to continue to distract the Mortar. We're getting Log value whenever we can. Now we're going to get some Fireball value. Fireball on the Goblin Hut. Goblin Hut is so annoying right now. Do you guys agree or do you disagree? I feel like every match I play, especially in challenges, is against a Goblin Hut. But anyway, we're still down in damage at this point, so we're going to keep sending in the Logs with the Hog Rider, and then we're not going to be afraid to use Fireballs. So here, we didn't use a Fireball. Instead, we use a Cannon. The reason we don't use a Fireball there is because we want to get a little bit of value, or we want to combo it with a Hog Rider. The opponent uses a defensive Mortar, and that's the little bit of value we just talked about there. We're forced to play an Ice Golem to actually distract that Ice Wizard because we can't afford to have one more hit of anything on our tower. So this is strictly spell cycle, baby. So we are cycling, and guess what? Again, at 2.6 elixir, guys, this deck cycles super quickly, and the opponent has a Log, 1 card out of hand, but nowhere near fast enough to keep up with this deck, and Mini hands it back to him with some laughy faces and a thanks at the end of the match. That's what happens when you give the early thanks, right guys? So here we go against Leo16. This is going to be the final match of the video, guys. Thanks for sticking with me all the way till the end of the vid. This is going to be against a Hog Executioner deck. I think there's a curveball in this. Yeah, there is. There's a curveball in this deck. There's a Barbarian Hut. Barbarian Hut is a very underused card right now, and I think I want to say it's underrated, but it's not. I think it just kind of sucks right now in the meta. I think that maybe they could make one more Barbarian spawn in total, and you'd be surprised at how much of a small little alteration to a card would fix a card and make it viable again. So I think just a small buff like that to Barbarian Hut would actually make it useful again. So here we go. We're going pretty all out in the right lane. We had a predictive log because we knew the opponent was going to play something on our Musketeer. It allows the Musketeer to get an extra shot or two onto that knight, and then the knight is almost dead. So this should be a relatively easy defensive sequence here, and the opponent decides to drop down a Bats and an Inferno Dragon. So that was probably a bad decision, an unwise choice by the opponent, because we're easily able to cycle. The opponent really doesn't have a big tank or anything we need to be worried about. So when your opponent does that, I mean, look at the elixir right now. We're like 1 or 2 elixir behind, a perfect time to send in a hog push. And the opponent couldn't cycle to that Barbarian Hut quite quickly enough to keep up with us. So that was basically the game, all in that exchange. The opponent overcommitted on offense with the Inferno Dragon and the Bats on that previous sequence, and we punished them. We punished them with a hog immediately. We made a very, very quick decision, or I should say Mini made a very, very quick decision, and he decided to go all in. The opponent couldn't get to that hut, couldn't get to their big counter, and we took down their tower. So, guys, I'm going to go, I was going to say I'll fast forward for a bit here because at this point it's all locked up. But again, we're just going to take fireball value and just keep cycling. With a deck that cycles this quickly, the classic Hog Cycle deck, there's no need to just play super defensively. You can still keep up the pressure, keep the opponent on their toes. It's not like one of those super control decks where you can just play defense and not worry about things, or a siege deck. It's not like that. With a hog deck, part of the defensive versatility of the deck is keeping your opponent on their toes by playing offense. So defense through offense. So guys, that's gonna do it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I did very, very much. We'll look forward to the balance changes next week. Until then, huge shout out to my YouTube partner, Bren Chong. Thank you, Bren, for everything you do. By the way, BBXH interviewed Bren Chong. I really, really recommend to anybody who's interested in business or just life tips in general, check out that interview. I'll link it in the description below. Guys, thanks so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys.